Hello, everyone. Welcome back to episode 39 of the Talk of Fame podcast. I'm Kylie, and today we have an amazing NBA contributor, YouTube entertainment reporter, and sports media professional in the Boston area, Tyler Boronski. Thanks for coming on, Tyler. I'm so happy to have you on.
Thank you, Kylie. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be on your show today.
Of course, I'm so happy to have you on. So, over the last kind of 2 years, we kind of been in isolation. So, what is something that you did over the last 2 years that you kind of won't have time to do before?
That's a good question. Can I say like spending time with my family? And I'll explain why. Because I graduated college in October 2019. I was living in Florida the last couple of years, and my family's from Connecticut. That's where I'm from originally. So after college, still looking for that like big full-time job out of college. So I just went back home to Connecticut, and then through that period, actually got my job in the Boston area, like right before COVID happened, like the week before COVID happened. And I was planning to move to Boston, but then COVID happened. So that all got delayed. So I was still stuck at home in Connecticut for another several months later. So almost like a year if I think about it. So really got to spend a lot of time with my family that I didn't, see just for get to see so often, just being in Florida and then being in Connecticut. So I felt like back in high school during that isolation period, just being back in my like childhood bedroom and, just all that comes with that. So I'll say that spending some time with my family, which is also, that was like a good time too. Everyone's of course like, worry about the health and safety of your loved ones. So it was actually nice in a way too, to be really close with them
Yeah,
during that
absolutely.
time.
That was like the biggest part about kind of quarantining is like get to spend time with your family. I like when COVID first hit, I didn't see my family often. I lived with my family, but I only see my kind of my close family. And so that
Right.
was kind of like the biggest part is I see my family often, but I'm happy I got to make more connections throughout like um in the industry, of course, but like before I before even COVID even hit, we were talking about a little bit about kind of sports before we even started. Like I was just at Phillies spring training in Florida before we court like before COVID
Oh,
even
before
happened.
COVID happened?
Yeah,
Wow.
like I like once we went in February and got back in like beginning of March, and then a couple of days later, COVID hit. So I was like, well,
Yeah.
okay, that's what we gonna do now. I can't go anywhere. Baseball shut down, sports are shut down. Like, how am I gonna do it? And so I like we were talking about the Red Sox kind of before. I'm a big Red Sox fan, like Kiki Hernandez fan. Asked where do you
Yeah.
go? Like I'm very good friends. Asked where do you go? And so like
Yeah. I
I've
like
met him a
you.
few times. He's amazing. Like he's one of my best buddies and stuff. And he's amazing. But
Mm.
like, what is it kind of like for you to kind of work or in the Boston area and to meet kind of the players?
Um, it's really cool because I did actually grow up a Boston sports fan. So the fact that, it just worked out that I landed in the Boston sports media market, it's like, it's just funny how things align sometimes. So it's cool, and it's just like a little weird and surreal at the same time when you're at Fenway Park and you're interacting with the guys. And I have been doing this career for a while, so the process wasn't anything new. Like I've been covering like minor league baseball teams for a while, being around players often. Um, and the procedure is still the same, but it's just a little bit more surreal and weird where it's players you looked up to and you grew up rooting for, and now you're in a way like working alongside them as part of the media. So yeah, it's been really cool, like getting to know like all the Red Sox guys. Recently with the Patriots, been doing a lot of that lately. So yeah, just like it's just so surreal because like these are my favorite players, and now I have an in with them, and like they know me now, and that's kind of weird too. It's like you keep showing up and you build this relationship with those guys, and I feel like it's also a good time for me now too because I'm 23 and we got a lot of young rising stars in the Boston media, Boston sports teams, I should say. Mac Jones is 23. We were talking about Alex Verdugo earlier. I think he's 24. So it's like a bunch of young guys that are my age. So it's like we're kind of obviously they have a much cooler job. They're players, but like we're in the same stage of life, and we're both doing our own thing, and like just we're not from Boston originally. So it's like I don't know. You have like a weird connection that way too, just like on a personal level. It's like just going through the learning experiences together in a big city like this that's really passionate about their sports.
Yeah, for sure. I instantly came. My first time at Fenway Park was actually last year in June. I just remember like he's always wanted to go to Fenway Park. I went to see not the Dodgers, Red Sox and Phillies play. Because my family's Phillies
Oh,
fan. So and I'm like a big Red Sox fan other than the Dodgers. Like they're my favorite team other than the Dodgers. So I was like, why not let's go take a little
yeah.
trip? Like it's only like a 5-hour drive from where I am. And
Okay.
so it wasn't that far. And so you just went, like, I met Alex Verdugo once. And so I met him when he was a Dodger. So
Okay.
before I met him at a fan fest, about 3 weeks before he even got traded, I met him. So I basically
Oh,
knew
no way.
him before basically everything kind of went off, like the Mookie Betts, David Price trade and all of
Yeah.
that stuff happened. And so like when I met him and when I went down to Fenway, I met him we talked for the 2 days when I was down there, and we just kind of created a good kind of friendship. We talked and remembered me from the day before. Like we just were talking for like 10 minutes each day. Like he was
That's
a good
awesome.
guy, and he remembered me. Like he's planning on having like send me stuff like Boston gear and stuff, which I'm very excited about. He's like it's like good at connection, and he's like, oh, I know you have this I need to do something. So I'm very excited to see what
Yeah,
happens.
I love Duke. I love Doogie so much, and like he's really good with like interacting with the fans. And you see like this past season, him like viral clips of him interacting with the fans. Like I think there was a clip like when they played Minnesota in April of last year, and him just like some fan in stands like asking him about like his like hitting approach or like
Oh
something
yeah.
like that. I forget exactly what the question was, but it's just like Doogie really taking the time to like explain what he's thinking in the box to this fan. It's like I don't see any like other players doing that type of stuff, that type of interaction, and um, with the fans. And he just loves it. He just loves feeding off it. That's why he's kind of perfect for a city like Boston, just because fans embrace people like that. So I've enjoyed getting to know him. He's easily one of my favorite dudes on the team, and from a media perspective, one of the best like quotes, very honest type of guy, and just always says something interesting. So he's definitely been one of my favorite dudes that
Yeah,
I've gotten to know
absolutely.
here.
Like he's like pretty. Like I met him. Like he waved to me a few times at games. Like he's did like a lot of things to kind of show support. And I don't know when, but I don't know. Like I guess he's like creating stuff with the Boston Red Sox and creating stuff for me to come down or something. I'm not sure what the plans are. I haven't spoken to him,
Okay.
but I'm supposed to maybe come down to a game or something. I have no idea what he
Yeah.
has planned, so I don't want to make it like that
We'll
serious.
find out. We'll find.
Like I remember just like in shock when I found out he was like saying, "Hey, I'm gonna set you up with stuff." Like send me a message on Instagram, like do that. I'm like, oh
Wow.
god, like
That's what's up. Let's
this like
go.
I never had connections. This is what I get from going to a lot of sports games. Like I'm going to
Yeah.
go each year, I guess. No.
Absolutely.
Because I
Absolutely.
basically
Just
grew up with him as a kid, and now like I'm basically friends with him, and it's kind of like a little
it's really
weird.
cool, right?
Like it's cool but weird. Think myself like I grew up watching this guy ever since becoming a Dodger fan. Now I'm basically friends with the guy. I met him basically good friends with them. I'm thinking myself like this is really weird. Like really
I
weird to
know.
think about.
It takes a moment to get used to, or you never fully get used to it, but I guess you learn how to deal with it. But yeah, it's surreal. I get the feeling for sure. And I feel the same way too, honestly. Like talking to a guy like Xander, I'm like, geez, I've been watching Xander as a fan in the stands since when he was in the minor leagues in 2013, and now I'm like the last couple of years, like interviewing him and just talking to him, off the record casually at the field. I'm like, oh man, that's just pinch myself moments type of deal. Like, because I can just imagine a few years ago, like just watching him on TV, and it's like, yeah, now you get to know these guys. It's pretty cool.
For sure. So as I kind of mentioned before, you are a content producer in the Boston area. What kind of made you want to start being a content producer?
Well, in high school, I grew up near like a minor league baseball team. It's called the Bridgeport Bluefish. And I would just go to a lot of games there. And decided one day, like, oh, yeah, I'm starting to get to know the players. Actually, kind of like you, just like going as a fan and them just seeing me, and I get the autographs and stuff. And I was like, you know what? I'm starting to get to know these guys. Like, why not? I would love to like interview them one day. And I just created a YouTube channel. I eventually did one interview with a guy named Luis Lopez, played in the majors for a little bit with Toronto. And I just loved it so much. I was like, this is so cool. Like to get a one-on-one time with a player and ask him anything I want. It just was really special and fun. So I just kept doing that, and then was like at the minor league field like every day, like pretty much to do interviews just for my YouTube channel at the time. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was just like, I like doing this a lot. And then start traveling like around that league, like in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, in the Atlantic League. And it was probably when I was like a senior in high school. And then, you start thinking about like, okay, what do I want to do in college? And I was like, oh, shoot, I could actually do this like as a career. Like, yeah, like let me look into it. So then went to like the Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting in Orlando. And yeah, that's kind of like when I really took it seriously, I would say too. And I'm sure we'll get into that, but it was early in high school, like just pursuing it and spending a lot of time at the field. But then it was yeah, like once I was a senior high school, I was like, all right, let's pursue this as a career if that's a possibility. And I felt like I could.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I basically grew up in a sports atmosphere. My whole family played sports in many ways. I grew up playing baseball, basketball. I basically did everything. And so I basically grew up in like a sports atmosphere. I was basically at a baseball field every single day.
Yeah.
Like either me playing on the field or just watching my brother practice or one of his games. So I was always out the fields in some type of way. And so like my family's Phillies fans, as I kind of mentioned before, we live about 2 hours east from Philadelphia, and so we go to games often.
Cool.
Before COVID hit, like we went to Philly spring training and all those things. I started building kind of connections with the players, like mostly minor leaguers, throughout like the AAA, AA, and all those things. And I became really good friends with like two of the players, and I recently had one of the guys on here.
Okay,
I became really good friends with. Since that day I met him, we just became good friends, and that was like the best thing to think. Like that's like the best thing to do as like a journalist or in general is to make connections and build friendships with the players, because that's why I love. It's like they can help you like with baseball. If you need advice, like that's what you go for. That's kind of what I love about going to games and stuff. Because I live about 15 minutes away from the Rail Riders.
Okay, yeah.
Rail Riders. And so that's a Yankees minor league team. So I go to a lot of their games often. I grew up as a kid and going to the games, and after I would ask for autographs and pictures with the guys. I actually met Derek Jeter when he played.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
He was in a rehab game? Nice.
Yeah, rehab games. I met him. I don't remember meeting him though, but my dad said I met him. I don't actually remember meeting him, but like
I take dad's word for it. So that's really cool. I mean, that's what I love about like, the minor league fields and spring training. Like it's so accessible to talk to players, and especially if you keep showing up on a regular basis, get to know them. And then like later in life, actually it's like the same way now. Like I've known a bunch of dudes when I was in the covering minor leagues that are maybe in the big leagues now, whether they're playing still or they're coaching now these days. It's like you build those relationships with dudes, and like that is the most fun part of it. I agree with that for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So you got to work with kind of like a lot of athletes over the last couple of years. Who was your favorite like person that you got the chance to work with?
Oh, that's tough. I don't know, like all time. I'll just think of some recently. Like Chris Sale was one I really enjoyed this past year. I had a really cool moment with him where Fenway's completely empty. Like before the game, it was like a really nice like summer afternoon game. And it was just like such a beautiful day, and he's the only one warming up, doing it. He after his start day, the next day he like just jogs around the field a lot, like does a lot of like cardio work. So he was doing that, and then I was just hanging around near the Red Sox dugout, and after he was done doing his cardio work, I'm like, hey, you got like 5 minutes to chat real quick? He said yes, and me and him just sit in the Red Sox dugout, and we're chatting up for like 5 minutes for the interview, and then honestly like just 5 minutes afterwards, just chatting about like whatever, like so that was like really special, because it's just like I'm sitting in Fenway Park on a beautiful day, no one else is here, I'm sitting with one of the best pitchers in the league, Chris Sale. Like I'm just imagining in my head and like watching him as a fan on TV when he closed out the World Series in 2018. It's just like I'm just talking to him normally, and that was a really special one for sure. It was like that was a surreal moment, because I'm like, I know a younger version of me would be really freaking out if I knew I had that type of opportunity. So he's one. And let me think. I guess one I like recently, I guess not an athlete, but a coach, is dealing with Bill Belichick. Even though he's kind of tough, that's what I like about it too. I like the challenge of trying to figure out like what works to get a good answer out of him. And like, yeah, it's just like an experiment. It's like trial and error every time you try to talk to him. So do gotta be careful because you don't want to go viral for the wrong reasons with Bill Belichick. That can happen sometimes. But I've definitely enjoyed like talking to him a lot this Patriots season because that really is like, that's like a GOAT, you know, that's like, you're talking to the greatest football coach of all time. That's pretty neat as a 23-year-old. So, and it's funny, when I was in college, I had an interviewing class and we used to practice as if we were going to interview Bill Belichick. That was like our practice scenario. So and I was only like a couple years ago, I was in college, and the fact I was, interviewing this year, like for real, it was just like, that was also surreal. Cause I'm like, shoot, I remember practice scenarios interviewing Bill Belichick, and now I'm doing it like for real, just a couple years later. So I remember saying that to my interviewing teacher the first time I talked to Belichick, and he like showed his current interviewing class, like the clip, and it kind of like was an inspiration for them. That, maybe one day they could be doing that too pretty soon. So yeah, those couple kind of stand out from recently.
Oh, that's awesome. Like I grew up watching Chris Sale either like playing against the Phillies Dodgers in World Series. Like as a Dodger fan, that hurt a lot when Dodgers lost in the World Series. That year, I'm not gonna lie, I hated the Red Sox. Like I hated them. But now I actually love them. Like it took me a while to like get used to them winning. I was like, okay, I don't like this team right now. Like they really won. Like I just don't like them right now. And so like it took me a while to get used to thinking, okay, they actually won the World Series, so get over.
Well, now you got to root for them if your boy Doogie's on our team, so you got to root for them now a little bit. So
yeah, you got to root for them now. But like I grew up a Philly fan, so I watched Chase Utley play my whole life. Like Chase Utley's my all-time favorite baseball player of all time. Like I can't explain how much he means to me in general. He's the reason why I love sports. Like he's the person I saw it all for me, basically. And so I met him in June of 2019. So like, I was at his retirement ceremony, and like it was basically like it was during the summer, and me and my dad had like box seats, like so we had tickets by the box seats where he was sitting, and so
oh no way, wow.
So we were walking around, like we were just standing outside of his like box, and so we were just waiting for him to come out because I really wanted to meet Chase. And I was just sitting there like shaking, like I was like I want to meet him. I was nervous, excited. I didn't know how he was gonna be, and I didn't know how he will be as a person. He's known as being like a cocky kind of player. So I was thinking myself, like, is he gonna be cocky in real life? I was like as much as I love Chase Utley and I'm a big fan, I was like, how am I like, how is he in person?
I know they always say like never meet your heroes, but like you still at the end of the day want to. But I know it's like, what type of personality are they? What are they actually like? So I hear you. I'm sure that was really, really cool.
Yeah, and so like when he was leaving with his family, me and my dad were staying outside the box. And so he was walking me and my dad's way. And I immediately looked at my dad shaking, like having the biggest smile on my face. I was like, Dad, that's Chase Utley right there. He's walking towards us. I was like, don't mess this up right now. Please don't mess this up. Don't embarrass me, please.
You're like, this is my moment. Let's go.
Yeah, this is my moment. And I was like, Dad, like, please go.
Yeah.
You're not meeting him. I'm going to meet him. Like, please. And so I was like, when he was walking my way, I stuck my hand out. I was like, what am I gonna do? Like, what do you want me to do? I was like, he's like, Kylie, take your hand out. I was like, all right, whatever you say. So I was like, I took my hand out. He was like, hi, then shook my hand. I remember being like, shocked.
Couldn't get any words out. Yeah.
My mouth open, like full on open. And he didn't even, my dad shook out his hand too. And he didn't even shake my dad's hand. He only shook mine.
Oh,
and I remember like sitting there tearing up, and I remember being so in shock, and I remember I almost started bawling my eyes out, and my dad was like, "Kylie, you shook your hand. Chase Utley shook your hand." I'm like, "Don't remind me right
Yeah.
now." I just was dreaming at that moment. I was like, that's like, I
I
never
know.
dreamed that moment ever. Like, I've just been dreaming of me and Chase Utley my whole life, and that happened. So I was like, how did this happen right now? Like, I was
Exactly.
just starstruck.
It's so cool, and that's why like I love when I see athletes interacting with fans, because you never know how much it means to someone when they get that interaction. Yeah, it might be quick from the player's end, like 10 to spend 10 seconds saying hi to someone, but like that memory can last, forever. So like that's really cool. You got that moment with him, and yes, sound like it was a very special time. And I'm glad your dad was there to witness it too. Be there with you for that. So
Yeah, because my dad knew how much he kind of meant to me. He was like, he's the reason why I became a Dodger fan in the first place. So he was like, "Kylie, like, this is the best thing that could ever happen in your life for you. Like, this is like
that's true.
your
Yeah, he
head is
played
in
for
the
your team,
clouds right now."
Phillies and Dodgers. There you go.
Yeah, he's like, your head is in the clouds. You can now, that's out of the way. Do whatever you want now. That's your
Yeah.
dad dream is off your list. Like, that's
You're like, my life is made now, so I'm good.
yeah, I'm
I'm
good.
good.
I'm good. So, and so you kind of mentioned before you enrolled to the Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting. You got to work
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Dan Patrick, Gus Ramsey, Arthur Joseph. What was it like for you to work with them?
Yeah, that was really special. Like, I really credit those 2 years there as like just giving me the skill sets of how to, do this industry, like the knowledge of it. Because like I said, all those years of minor league baseball, while I did spend a lot of time there and working, I didn't really know what I was doing at the end of the day, but it was good like life experience. Just like dealing with adults and stuff at a young age. But Dan Patrick School is where I really got like the fundamentals of how to be a good interviewer, how to be strong, have a strong on camera presence, even on like the producing side, editing, you know, stand-ups in the field, like you name it. You mentioned Arthur Joseph. I worked with, he was a vocal coach, so he worked with us with our voice. So it was just a lot of different things. It was like a big learning curve. Like those 2 years is like, I felt like I didn't know anything. I really didn't know anything, but like those 2 years got me really prepared for this industry. And that's why I felt really good going into my job here in Boston. It's just like, I felt so prepared. Even though I was fresh out of college, just like Full Sail and the Dan Patrick School, it's like, it's not your normal college. It's like almost going to work each day. So it's like, I already felt like I had a couple of years in this industry already, even though I was coming out of college. So I really credit those 2 years a lot. It was special.
Yeah, for sure. So, do you have anyone that you look up to as a kind of content producer, or just kind of in general?
Yeah, I mean, not to be so biased, but like Dan Patrick is one for sure. Just knowing him forever, and I actually knew him before I went to the school. I knew him when me and his daughter went to the same high school in Connecticut. So I've known Dan for a while, and it was just like ironic that I went to his school because it didn't have the Dan Patrick name on it yet. It was going to be a sportscasting program at Full Sail, but it wasn't until I was at Full Sail that I found out later that it was going to be called the Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting. So I was like, that's crazy how it works out that way. But Dan's just like such a great interviewer. I learned so much from him on keeping things simple and being just curious in your interviews. And I love his like camaraderie with like all his guests. Like he just feels like he knows like all of them so well, whether he does or not. Like he just seems like he's best buddies with all his guests and like gets the most out of them. And he just knows how to create interviews that are both interesting, like entertaining, but like also informative as well, where it's advancing the story and you're learning something new. And that's kind of a hard balance. Like some content is more entertaining than not, some content's more informative than not, but it's really hard to create something that's both. So he does that well. Another guy I like, he's not in sports, but his name's Sean Evans, and he does that celebrity like interview show, like Hot Ones, which is on YouTube. And I just think that's like a brilliant show concept. And Sean's kind of the same way, like really good interviewer and good researcher, and just has a great camaraderie with his guests. So I definitely love his job. Like that would be a dream job right there, what Sean Evans is doing, 100%. And then I just like, like sideline reporters. I could see myself doing that one day. and just like people that have helped me like personally in my career, like Jared Greenberg, who's at TNT, does in the NBA, and Jemai Webster, who works in the Boston area as the Red Sox sideline guy. So a lot of sideline reporters I look up to as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like as you kind of said before, you knew him while you were in high school, as like you're friends with like his daughter and stuff. Like, what was it like for you to kind of join his school thing? Like he kind of would work there, and like you knew him before, like it became such a thing.
Yeah, it was like crazy. Like the first day I saw him on campus there, because I hadn't seen him actually for a couple years prior, till I saw him again at Full Sail, and it's just like it's just different dynamic for me and him compared to like the other students, because like we have like people in Connecticut we can like talk about and like reference. It's like all these other kids, they don't have a prior connection with Dan, so they look up to Dan. It's like their first time seeing him, where it's like I've been seeing this guy my whole life. Like I've been to his house before, so it's like it's just a different dynamic more than anything. It's like catching up. The first time I saw him, it was like almost like catching up with someone I hadn't seen in a while, if that makes sense. So just a different dynamic, but it's like it's surreal too, because like he is one of the best at what he does, and I want to be in this industry that he's in. So it's just personal connection or not, like he's a great guy to learn from. So that really did make it special. And I hope to have a relationship with him, like the rest of my career and the rest of my life, honestly. He's a great guy. So it was special being a part of his program.
Yeah, for sure. He's like the best, like you said, one of the best to ever do at what he does. And so like I grew up like with two journalists on my dad's side family. There are journalists from my local news station down the road from me. And so like people always kind of said to me, for like it went on for about maybe 2 years that went on, that people would say that I would be like a great reporter and all those things. Like, and since I knew a lot about sports, I watched sports so much, and I grew up in a sports atmosphere, and I knew a lot about it, and I love the entertainment industry, so I watched a lot of interviews, watched red carpets, award shows,
too.
everything. Like you name it. It was my favorite time of year. Like award shows, my favorite time of year. Like it's my favorite thing to watch. And so like I basically knew everything that was going on in the entertainment industry. I knew everything that was going on. And so people like would tell me like, Kylie, this is a job for you. Like this will be perfect for you, since like you love the sports industry and the entertainment industry. You should pull these things in together.
Yeah.
And so interview people on both sides and talk to them, build connections, and try to talk to people and try to see if you like it. You should go for it. I was like, oh yeah, whatever, blah blah blah. I didn't take it seriously until the pandemic hit in like April 2021. I was just sitting down, like relaxed, watching TV, and it kind of hit me out of nowhere. I was just sitting there and thinking to myself, like, should I start a podcast? I don't know what occurred to me. Like, I don't know what I thought about a such thing, but it just occurred to me that I was like, Kylie, you should go be a journalist, and you should do that. That would be a good, big thing for you. Like, it's like if you don't like it, do something else. But you should at least take a try at it.
100%. Yeah.
Like it. And so I started it. Maybe like 2 weeks later, I didn't know what I was getting myself into, and it was literally, I didn't know what to do. Like I was like, okay, like I don't know one. Like I didn't really think about it. I was like getting myself into this. Like I wasn't prepared or anything. Like I was just like dropping things on a page. Like I was just putting random things on the page. And so like I interviewed Cooper Searles. He has a podcast with Toronto Blue Jays pitcher Ross Stripling.
Ross,
he previously played for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
He plays for the Blue Jays now, but they don't have the podcast anymore. They ended it a couple months ago.
Okay.
And so I was like, this is like the best way to interview. This like best interview to do, because I grew up listening to him and Ross like with his podcast and stuff. So I was like, what better first interview to do is him. Like that's the best interview to do on the first ever interview. So I talked to him about Ross and the podcast. I was like, okay, this is for me. Like I love this. Like I just immediately became obsessed. And now, almost a year later, I am still doing this. Almost 40 episodes later, I just launched a website a couple of weeks ago. Cool. And now I'm basically I'm writing a book right now.
Oh, no way. Wow.
And
That's a
so
tall
things have
task.
been
That's really
wild
cool.
lately. So things are
I know it's addicting though, but it's just so much fun. It's so much fun connecting with people, and especially people you look up to and you're like actually curious about their career. Like that makes it like even more fun in my opinion. And it makes sense too why you started during the pandemic. You know, it's definitely that was a time of like self-reflection where, you know, you just at home and with your thoughts, and it's like, what would be fun to do? And then like, oh, I can't actually interact with anyone like in person, so like why not do like a podcast where you do the Zoom interviews and gives you a chance to talk to new people. So I definitely found myself too doing a lot of Zoom interviews during that time, and just because couldn't interact with anyone in person. But
yeah.
I'm glad you found it. I'm glad you're loving it, and I hope you keep working hard and keep pursuing it for sure.
Yeah, thank you. Like I'm thinking, well, I'm not sure if I'm gonna pursue this as I'm older, but I'm thinking about doing some type of way of journalism, either
Yeah.
it's for like in the sports industry, like or entertainment. Either way, I'm gonna be do something that involves journalism. And I
Mm-hmm.
just actually started writing my book last night. So in
Okay.
and that reminds you, I actually started writing it last night. I don't want to reveal too much information yet because like
Okay. We'll hold off. We'll hold off on it and
yeah,
wait a
we'll
bit.
hold off on that, but I'll let you know this between us. Like, I'm not gonna tell the whole internet about it, but like
Well, you
it's
let me know when it's out. I'll check it out for sure. I'll
well,
definitely get a
thank you. Yeah,
copy.
I'll let you know. I'm working on it, and so it's amazing. I don't know why, but it's like I'm really excited about releasing this book, and like I feel it's gonna be something that people can look forward to. I'm gonna be talking about sports in this book, so that's
Hmm.
something I can tell you if I'm writing sports, a little bit of sports in this book and my experiences. So this is kind of a little job for people. That's something
Cool.
I can actually say,
There
but
you go.
I can't really say
I
anything
like it
else.
set up with a little tease. I like that. So you're
Yeah, so
good.
some of
You're
a
smart.
little tease,
Just a
but
little tease for them.
yeah. So what is kind of some advice for like younger generations that would like to be like a content producer one day?
I mean, you're kind of doing it right now. Like it's just doing it. It's just getting the reps of the feeling of what it's like to do an interview with someone, trying to think of questions on the fly or preparing your questions ahead of time, the process of booking someone, like, you know, all of that, and even more aspects of it, just you know, play by play, stand ups, like, you just need that to practice doing it. You don't need a fancy camera equipment or anything like that. It's just you could go in front of your mirror. If you want to like practice doing stand-ups, you can literally go in front of your mirror, pretend like you're holding a microphone and, you know, talk about whatever, talk about the Dodgers, talk about the Phillies, you know, do something on Chase Utley. I don't know, something like that. So
Yeah.
it's just at this age and just when you're starting off, it's just the reps of what it's like. You're not, don't worry about like viewership either on as far as like content if you're posting stuff online. It's really just practice at this point. And like all the people that are successful in this industry, there's been hours upon hours of practice and reps for them to get to the point that they are now. So that's what I would say. Just keep doing what you're doing, stuff like this, and just working hard and having fun with it. That's probably the most important thing too. Like, especially when you get later on, like it becomes like more serious. Like it's like your career, like you making your living off this. It's like sometimes it can feel like maybe like a job for a quick point, but you got to remember like how much fun it is, and like this would be like a dream thing that a lot of people would want to be doing too. And it's like a privilege to talk to these athletes or do this or be at this place. So just always remember to have like fun with it too, because it can be like a lot of work, but it's sports at the end of the day. It's not too serious.
Yeah, for sure. So you are not only like a content producer, but you also cover media coverage and industry as well. And you kind of got to work with Tana Maru, Charlie D'Amelio, Timothy Doraggio, Brandon Ruth, Ken Jong, Con Herbert. And as various social media conventions and Comic Cons and stuff like that, what kind of made you want to start covering things in industry and stuff like that?
I mean, kind of like you, like I always love both sports and entertainment, and I was doing, you know, sports for a while, and all throughout high school, only sports, and even most of my time in college in Florida. But in Orlando, they had a lot of like conventions and like those social media events and Comic Cons with actors and stuff, and like I just always love like entertainment as well. So like I was like, all right, let me try to get credentials for that, and realize how much fun I had doing that too, and just how different it was from sports. And yeah, just like it was just cool for me to talk to my favorite actors as well. It's like I get to talk to my favorite sports athletes, and now I get to talk to my favorite actors and people in the social media space, you know, YouTubers that I like watching. So it's like just best of both worlds. So I just wanted those like life experiences and those relationships on that side too. And, sports and entertainment do cross over a lot too. So it's not like that crazy of a gap either.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm interviewing politicians and then sports. I don't know. Like they're kind of closely connected in a weird way. These entertainment celebrities, they all think sports athletes are cool. Sports athletes all think actors are really cool. So there's a lot of crossover. But yeah, so just started pursuing that. And that's what I kind of focus my YouTube channel now. It's like a lot of like entertainment with actors and social media creators and chatting with them. And it's just my own thing and get to travel. I was in LA last year and did some stuff out there. And just that wouldn't happen if I didn't have my YouTube channel and build those relationships on the entertainment side. So I love that I can hit up my favorite Red Sox player and I like hit up my favorite actor that's on a show that I like, stuff like that. So like even yesterday, the show Ozark on Netflix dropped and my buddy Kevin L. Johnson is on that show as one of the main recurring characters. And it's like, I built that relationship with Kevin interviewing him when like 4 years ago or whenever the first season came out of that show. I'm the biggest Ozark fan, but now it's just like cool for me. It's like, now I got a buddy from that show because I've been staying in touch with him ever since. It's like, I just like having relationships on both sides. So that's why I pursued it. And I've been able to meet some cool people. Like Charlie was a big one. Charlie D'Amelio. Enjoyed Tana Mojo a lot. Ken Jeong's obviously been in Hollywood for a while. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun too. Just very different, but I enjoy it. Honestly, like equally as well.
Yeah, for sure. Like I interview like some of my favorite artists as well, like Madison Watkins. She is like a singer-songwriter. She was on The Voice.
Cool. Yeah.
No, wait, she was on American Idol. Never mind, American Idol.
American Idol. Okay.
I was thinking a completely different thing, and I was a big fan of her before I even interviewed her. I listened to her music every single day. Like I've seen her on the American Idol. Like I listened to her so much. She was one of my biggest inspirations. I got to interview her, and I was like so happy. Like that was one of my dream interviews, and I got to interview Caitlin Ways. She was like a child actress. She was in like a bunch of kid movies. Like she was a child actress. I was a fan of her, like a big fan of her as well. And I seen her in Commander in Chief. It's about like the first woman president and all those kind of things. And so I was a big fan of her, and I got to interview her. And I'm still like she's one of my good friends, and we're still good in contact. And to think like I'm like friends with some of the people that I've been a fan of since before I even interviewed them is like crazy. And I just remember thinking like, this is crazy. I'm interviewing like two people that I loved and adored since like as long as I've like been a fan of them. So I was like, this is insane. But do you have anyone that you like, since you kind of covered the entertainment industry and stuff, like do you have like any interview that kind of stuck out to you a little bit?
On the entertainment side? That's a good question. I mean, just like the experience wise, like you mentioned her, but like Tana Mojo, she's like a big YouTuber personality. She's just like really out there and she's just a lot of fun. So like it was like a wild experience interviewing her. She's kind of like what you see on camera in person too. So she was just like a lot of fun. I enjoyed interviewing an actor named Bart Johnson. He's in High School Musical. He plays Coach Bolton.
I actually love Marjo. Like he's
he's a funny dude. Yeah, so like I mean that was like a really cool one because like I grew up watching High School Musical with my buddies and stuff. Like everyone watched High School Musical when I was younger, so that was like kind of a
High School Musical.
Yeah, exactly. Who hasn't watched High School Musical? So that was a surreal one. It's like not like I have been able to build a good relationship with him too. So hopefully next time I'm in LA, say what's up to him real quick and yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's like been a lot of cool ones. Like the Ken Jeong one was really cool just because he's been in a lot of big time stuff. Hangover. He's a judge on The Masked Singer now. Dr. Ken. Charlie one is probably my most talked about interview that like gets brought up just in general, sports or entertainment, just because I interviewed her. I was her third ever interview. And the day I interviewed her, she had just hit 10 million followers, which is still a lot. Don't get me wrong. But for her, that was like really early in the process. Yeah. And I spent
early on in her career. Like she
very
quickly. Like I'm a big Charlie D'Amelio fan. I'm a big D'Amelio fan.
Yeah.
Once they all went viral. And so like once she posted a TikTok with her sister, she just started to blow up, and every day she'll keeps making 1 million followers every single day, so she kept growing.
Well, that's the thing. It was so crazy at the time. It's like every day she's getting at least 1 or 2 million followers a day at that point. So she reached 100 million really quickly. But it was just cool to spend time with her and her family, like for the 2 days at this meet and greet event that they had. And like before she was like really as big as she is now, and just hanging out with them. And yeah, and then like I see her a couple weeks later, she's on Jimmy Fallon. I see her in a David Dobrik video. It's like, I remember I talked to her in the interview, like how she wanted to meet Jennifer Lopez. And like a month later, she was like in the Super Bowl, like dancing with Jennifer Lopez, and like met her. So it's just like their life obviously is insane now. And they met everyone and everyone knows them now. But that was a big one. Cause like, yeah, I kind of got to talk to her early before like some of the big shows have spoken with her and stuff like that. So, still have a relationship with that family, like the parents mainly. So that's been cool to have, and I'm always happy for their success. They're from Connecticut as well, not too far from where I grew up, so we always have that connection too. So I'm always happy for their success and wish them well.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a big Charlie D'Amelio, and basically I'm a huge D'Amelio fan. Like everyone in the family, I absolutely love and support. Like they're amazing, inspire me at every single thing. Like once I saw the video of like Charlie D'Amelio dancing with J-Lo, I was like, I'm so jealous. Like I was like so jealous of her dancing with J-Lo, because that's one of my dreams is to dance with J-Lo. Because J-Lo is one of my biggest inspirations. So like in terms of dancing, singing, everything, like you name it. And so like, I was so jealous of her. Bart Johnson, I grew up watching Bart Johnson since I was a baby, I will say. Like, a baby, I will say, because I watched it in High School Musical. I was obsessed with High School Musical. I watched it every single day, everything. So I was basically obsessed with High School Musical. I was a big Zac Efron fan, so that was kind of like a little more leaning.
There you go. I get that now. I get why you're rewatching that movie. Yeah, Zac Efron, he's the man.
I basically grew up with him and like Zac Efron, all Vanessa Hudgens, and all that cast, and like they all are one of my biggest inspirations. So everyone is like people that I follow, especially the D'Amelios, like everyone like they are the biggest impacts on me. Either it's like not a lot or like a little bit. Everyone has made a little impact on me. No matter what they are, they made an impact. But like, what was the kind of like your experience working with Charlie D'Amelio though? You actually kind of explained it before, and her family. Where were they like kind of like to work with?
It's funny because like they were. I mean, they still are too. Just like a very normal family, because that's what they were. They were a normal family living in Connecticut. You know, just doing their own thing, and then it just suddenly started blowing up their TikTok. It's not like they planned for it. It just kind of happened. Charlie started going viral. So it was like, they're just very normal people with a really extreme, crazy lifestyle thing blowing up on the side. And obviously that's, they've made this a full-time thing now, but that's why it was kind of so cool. They're very down to earth, very nice, kind. They spend time talking to you like they're your buddy, so like it was really cool spending time with them. I like Dixie too. Dixie's really quirky, so she's pretty funny to talk to. All of them are really sweet, so I got nothing bad to say. And it was just like I said, it was a special time getting to know them early, and still keep the relationship with them. And I haven't seen them since, unfortunately, but like hopefully you'll see them down the line. I know actually they were here in Boston. Dixie was performing for Jingle something.
Oh, the Jingle Ball. Yeah,
Jingle Ball at TD Garden. But I was in Florida at the time. But if I wasn't in Florida, I definitely would have like got credentials and go to that and say what's up. But it just didn't work out the timing. But yeah, it was just really cool getting to know them. And like I said, I wish them well.
Yeah, for sure. So the final question for an interview is: you're invited by the Connect Her and Media to be featured at the Atlanta Gen Z Social Summit in 2019. What was that experience like for you?
That was cool because I'm always going to so many events as like a media person or as like a reporter. But this one I was invited as like the talent that like people are there to like meet. And I was there to like speak on like panels. I hosted like a workshop about like personal branding there. And it was just like other cool, people like my age or younger, like in the Gen Z space that are like doing cool things. So like Annie Rose, who's a big time YouTuber, was there. An actor, Jax Malcolm, who's in CW's Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. The big person was Lexi Rabe, who was Morgan Stark in the Marvel Avengers Endgame, like Iron Man's daughter. And the event happened like maybe like a couple weeks after Endgame came out, so that was like really like peak popularity.
Yeah.
So that was like cool that she was there and getting to hang out with her. She's really funny. Like she's like 6-year-old kid, like super, just says whatever. It's like super cute. And then, yeah, I was just like honored to be invited to that. So it was like cool to, people there take your pictures, you get interviewed. We had a meet and greet event too with the fans. So it's like you take pictures with people and sign autographs. So it's like, I really enjoy like people that like recognize me too from my work on YouTube. But it was just kind of cool to be on the other side and get some recognition. So I would love to do like another event like that one day. So any events, hit me up. I'm down to do it. But it was cool to go to Atlanta for that.
Yeah, for sure. That's my dream, is to do meet and greets and all those things. I'm hoping something happens to me sometime next, maybe like 2 years or so, whatever that happens. But I just want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It means so much. I really enjoy speaking with you. You're amazing. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, thank you, Kylie. I appreciate it. Keep doing what you're doing as well. Appreciate talking to you and for the invite for your show.
Of course, thanks so much. Let's speak soon, for sure.
Bye. Take care.